What's up, everybody? It's me, Eman from Eman's Movie Reviews, and I am going to talk about episode 4 of Ms. Marvel today. Please be advised that this is going to contain, obviously, spoilers for the episode. By the time you guys are watching this, hopefully you've already seen it anyway. I do apologize for not being able to go live with you all like I normally do every Wednesday, but as you know, I've been covering Thor, Love and Thunder. I've gone to the screener at least, I don't know, 2 times at this point. And the reason why I'm doing this video now is really just because I've got other projects that I'm going to work on. Hopefully, I'm going to get you guys with a breakdown of the movie, and I've got a whole bunch of other stuff that I need to work on. So I just had to kick this one out for you guys real quick. So let me just kind of give you my initial impressions from this episode. This was finally an episode that I was absolutely appreciative of, not just because of the cultural aspect. The cultural stuff is always a positive when we get that, but I also like the fact that it was adding a new element to the MCU. We got way more let's just say a deeper understanding of what's going on with Kamala's her history, her family heritage, and potentially, a little bit more about the bangle and so on and so forth. So I do want to kind of go through the story just a little bit through the episode, and then we'll talk about different things that happened during. So first off, we kick it off with Kamala. She's going to Pakistan. She has to meet her nani, or her grandmother. As we saw in the last episode, she had gotten that vision, and after she got the vision of the train, from Partition, then her grandmother also got the same vision. And what I liked about this was the fact that, like, grandma's clearly been in on it. Like, grandma, she already knew, like, from the jump. She was like, oh, like, you a Djinn, and so I knew that. So I love the fact that she was just cool about it, and she was just like, it is what it is. And she was like, look, but it's genetics, like, you can't change it, it is what it is. But I love the fact that Nani was already in on it. She already knew it. And by the way, I have to say, I love what they're doing when it comes to Partition. I love the fact that they are educating. I know they're educating me anyway. I don't know about everybody else. But if we're being 100% honest here, like, I didn't study Partition in let's see, elementary school, high school, college history, university history. I all I knew was, the British colonized India. That's it. That was it. So, maybe there was a quick mention or whatever, but there was nothing really this deep. So I love the fact that this series is really kind of helping us understand the impact of it, and understanding that, like, yo, this really was affecting people back then and still to this day, because it was only in 1947. There are people still alive. Some of our parents, our grandparents, were around during this time, and it was very tumultuous for people. And I love the fact that Nani is out here, collecting these things. You see her drawing him as well. You can see that a lot of the families were torn apart, and all of that. And I just thought that that was, like, really cool, that they are giving us that inside look into like what they experienced during this time. And again, I love just how comfortable the grandmother was to just kind of saying, like, yeah, we're Djinn, it is what it is. But there was also the part of the story where the grandmother was talking about, like, hey, here's a picture of me as a little girl with my dad. And she also drew a picture of Aisha, like, so the great grandmother, right? And she was still young looking, because that's the best image that she had in her mind. But it was funny because they mentioned that this was the image, or I believe they mentioned something about, like, Aisha had to leave the grandmother's dad. And I'm wondering if that had to do with the fact that, as a Djinn, as a clandestine, they just live longer, and because they live long, it would probably be kind of weird, if, like, she were to kind of stay with them, because she wouldn't age. Now it's different. Clearly, what we're seeing is that if you're maybe half Djinn, you're gonna age normally, right? So Nani, she's aging normally, but even though she probably still has that Djinn Nor or whatever within her. But I'm thinking that Aisha was kind of like, I'm gonna have to leave y'all. I might be watching you because remember, Nani was as when she was a little girl, she had to follow the trail of light to get her back to her father. So I wouldn't be surprised if Aisha was basically using the bangle to help her daughter navigate the craziness of whatever was going on during partition, especially on that last train. I think that was definitely something that was happening. So then, of course, we have Kamala going out to the marketplace. By the way, you know that part where she was trying to look for directions to the train station, and she that guy was like, "Oh yeah, here's a picture of you, and for like 1,500 rubies, and like that should be nothing. That's all right." Y'all know how much 1,500 rubies are in like regular American dollars? It's $19. You gonna pay somebody $19 for a Polaroid they took you right on the street? Listen, talk about highway robbery. I know inflation is high, but come on now. That was highway international robbery right there. What is that? Anyway, so we saw Kamala going out to the train station. She's trying to get answers, for whatever was going on in her vision. By the way, she was able to get like her brand new mask, and slowly but surely, I don't know if you noticed, but slowly but surely, she is starting to get her traditional costume put together, and that's actually kind of dope. She's getting the mask, even though, like, I mean, let's be honest, it's her under the mask. Like, like, what are you trying to hide? Like, you still look the same with the mask. But anyway, comics. So she's getting her mask, she's trying to find answers, and then all of a sudden, a dagger just comes out of nowhere, and then you see this masked person just trying to take her out, and they have their fun little battle. They going at it, doing all this crazy stuff, going back and forth, and then of course it's all good. They're fine. They're on the same side because hey, ain't nothing that's gonna put somebody on the same side than the police or somebody chasing both of you. So they both were out there running or whatever. And then we of course learned later on that this was Kareem. And Kareem is part of the Red Dagger crew or clan or however you want to call it. Of course, he brings her to the secret layer, and this is when they get to meet Waleed. Let me tell you something. First of all, Waleed was so dope. I loved this character, loved his introduction, loved all his different scenes. Waleed is that dude. He had kind of gave the little background information, talked about how the red daggers protected people from the unseen. Now, remember the Djinn, the clandestine, they went by other names, and the unseen were one of those names. So this organization, the Red Daggers, they protect people from these evil folks. And I think we've pretty much established the fact that the Djinn are pretty bad, right? But what I started to nerd out on is the fact that he started to go into more world building and letting us know that yeah, there are other dimensions out there, but at the same time, this is just one of many different dimensions, and it's interesting because this is very, very, very similar to what happened. Matter of fact, dare I say, this story is almost kind of sort of mimicking what we saw in Shang-Chi. He's kind of biracial because his mama was from another dimension, his daddy is from here, and in this case, Kamala is kind of sort of biracial in some sense. I mean, she's got Djinn genetics within her, along with her human side. And because of that, Waleed was basically saying that like this is why she's able to control her the Nor or the light energy, but she can control it effectively in this dimension because once again, similar to what we learned in Moon Knight, when you come from a different dimension, it's kind of like you're more efficient in that place. And I think what Marvel kind of sort of is playing at is this is how energy works. Like the energy over there, you're probably made of that energy. You probably mastered that energy. You're in sync with that energy. So that's where you're going to be the most effective. When you go somewhere else that has a different type of energy, you're going to be weaker. And it's one of the things that we learned in Moon Knight, which is why they need avatars to inhabit, at least the gods anyway, so that they can use the energy and powers in that other realm or in our realm to be more effective and more powerful. But we learned that, where the Djinn come from, they live in a dimension that is like it's separated by a veil, and that veil is what is protecting basically both worlds from colliding in a sense. And of course, let's not forget the Djinn wanted to use the bracelet to tear the veil down so that they can return home. Now, there might be some misdirect here, and that misdirect could be because remember, Bruno was basically saying, like, if you do this, there could be some sort of negative backlash, maybe an explosion, just bad consequences, right? And yes, because of those things were happening, Kamala was kind of like, yeah, but maybe there's a chance nothing bad will happen and we'll be all right. But according to Waleed, what he ended up saying was the fact that, like, hey, if that veil comes down, it's going to take over the entire world. Like it's going to overrun the dimension. And unfortunately, that's going to destroy the world. So clearly the Djinn have worse intentions here. And it might speak to one of the reasons as to why they were actually banished. I told y'all this before. It's one thing to get kicked out your city, get kicked out your state, get kicked out your country, get kicked off your planet, get kicking out just to get kicked out your universe. These Djinn got kicked out their whole dimension. You got to be some kind of bad to get kicked out a whole dimension. So, clearly they have some evil things going about. And by the way, of course, we saw in the previous episode the fact that we have damage control. So, damage control now has like an entire department. Matter of fact, they now have a supermax prison, which does seem to be different than the raft. And the raft apparently is another, high security one. We saw that in Civil War. That's where they're keeping Zemo. That's where they kept the Avengers for a little bit as well. Where Thunderbolt Ross had kind of sentenced them to be. But now we see that this is where all the enhanced individuals are. But this has got to be the crappiest prison I've ever seen. Like taxpayer dollars wasted. What kind of prison for enhanced individuals walks around with like 4 guards in the middle of like this looked like an underwater sewer system or something, and they clearly just got overpowered in like no time. This I don't know. Like I get it. Maybe the budget is not that high for this. I understand. But this was like this just felt like a joke. Supermax? This is Supermax? I mean, like, are the one is federal prison in the MCU like a holiday spa retreatment? Like, this was a joke, but whatever, they broke free and they were out of there. But unfortunately, Mama Djinn, I forget her name, but Mama Djinn was like, nah, we not going there. We all not gonna go, Cameron, you gonna have to stay behind because you want to help Kamala and you don't want to be down for the team. So you out of here. And that was it. That was it. They left him back, which was again, that's also kind of weird because I'm like, where you gonna go? Like, shouldn't you follow them anyway to get out or something? I don't know. Whatever. But I think this is just a setup just to have Cameron come back as maybe a potential ally in the future. Clearly he's not all bad or whatever, but I think this is just a way to kind of be like, all right, we about to go do our bad guy thing, but you gonna be on your own, which means you're free to go team up with Kamala later on. All right, whatever. Anyway, we go back to Nani. Nani is back, and she is this scene I liked as well because once again it's reiterating the effects of partition. And this was definitely an interesting moment because she had said something to the effects of, my passport is in Pakistan, but my roots are in India. And it was very, I could relate to this, because again, not being super familiar with partition and how that affected, the average Pakistani or the average Indian or South Asian person. But as an African American, I can totally understand how, colonization, because even Nani was like, some people are feeling the effects based off of what some old British guy told them before they left, and again, the whole partition thing was Britain had them colonized, but like when Britain was like losing power or when they were leaving, they left them in shambles. They left them, with an identity crisis on their hands. So some people are like, no, I'm from here. And other people are like, no, I'm from here. So now you've got like these people who don't really have a strong sense of identity. Should we adopt the identity that the colonizers gave us, or should we adopt another identity that, from something else? So it's messy, it's terrible, but it's one of the aftermaths of colonization, right? So I like the fact that Nani was able to kind of like express that, the fact that to this day, as old as she is, she's still trying to figure out her identity, and how like the border, between Pakistan, between India, the thing that divided everybody, um how she was like, it was marked with blood and pain. I thought that was really, really interesting, and I appreciated the fact that they highlighted that element in the show. And then, of course, we still move on with Nani and the mom, and it was cool with this moment too, because I think like the interesting thing here, and this doesn't always get talked about, at least again, coming from a household with foreign parents, immigrant parents, it's tough when your parents come from a place that had some sort of trauma, whether it's slavery, whether it's, war, whether whatever it is. And you notice how the generations, it's hard for the generations to connect, because especially when you start coming to America, if you're born in America and your parents are foreign, you have two different lifestyles, you have two different expectations, you have two different worldviews. And even though you grow up in the same house, sometimes it's hard for you to connect. So I really appreciated this scene where both Nani and the mom were like really trying to connect. And we learned a little bit more also of the fact that, the mom had felt embarrassed. She felt that shame. This is one of the reasons why you don't talk about Nani in the Khan household, because the mom was still dealing with the trauma as a child by being shunned by her neighbors, because her mom had all these crazy theories, so mom was going around probably telling people, I'm a Djinn, or my grandma, my mother was a Djinn, or there were certain powers that happened. Whatever the thing is, basically the community that was around them, they were kind of like, oh, she's crazy, she's wild, she's nutso. And you can only imagine that made Kamala's mom just super embarrassed. Maybe she was made fun of at school, maybe she was made fun of in the neighborhood, so she had to go to America to like, just get away from all that. Totally understand that. And I like the fact that they like emphasized all of that there. Then we move back to Waleed, and he's giving Kamala basically some new garb. And I like this because again, this is yet another piece of her, potential uniform that she's gonna have, her new outfit. And he said, hey, there's a lot of history woven in those threads. So I thought that was also really, really nice that they do that. I think that is obviously a reoccurring theme in this whole series, that her powers and her family lineage, her, the history, all of that stuff is all connected, even to like what she's wearing, to the source of her powers, and so on and so forth. So that's really dope. But of course, you had to have the party crashers come through. They was not taking it. They was trying to get the bracelet and everything, but yo, my man Waleed was not having it. Did you see my man say, I want all the smoke. He wanted all the smoke so bad, he was like, I'm finna move through the smoke. I just love this scene. I just love the scene. My man was in there being all ninja-like with the red daggers, and he was taking folks out left and right. Woo! It was so good until the end. Oh my gosh. I know he had to save Kamala and them. He took out another Djinn, but my goodness, this hurt. This definitely hurt. I'm not gonna lie. I was hurting for my man. You'd shown us a great character, and then you take him away just like that. Oh, just a moment of silence for my man Waleed. Ah, great character. This now, by the way, that whole fight scene, the whole chase and everything, I thought this was probably the best action sequence. The other ones, again, I wasn't a big fan of it. It felt very kiddish, felt very Disney Nickelodeon-ish, but this was a lot better. Now, I don't know where Kamala started picking up all these moves from, but I'm not mad at it. She's using her powers more efficiently. You know, she's actually fighting a little bit. I like that, which I like what I'm seeing now. I thought that was pretty cool. Oh, and by the way, I see that they are clearly building up a love triangle right now. So of course Kamala's in the middle, but you got Kareem on one side, and you already know what you call it, Cameron is on the other side. So I do wonder right now, are y'all team Cameron or y'all team Kareem? Y'all let me know who you think, because you know clearly, or hold on, here comes a new challenger, Team Bruno. Now I know Bruno's in the friend zone, probably ain't never gonna get out, but hey, you never know, right? Could have been like, oh, that was the love interest that was always there. Hey, what was it? With Tony and old girl, like with Pepper, she was always there, and he didn't really notice it. Tony was out there wilding out, doing his Playboy billionaire status. But hey, my man settled down eventually, right? So I don't know. Y'all let me know in this four-way battle royale of love. Like, is it Team Kareem? Is it Team Cameron? Or hey, are you rooting for the underdog with Bruno? Let me know. But anyway, we see that clearly. Kamala is she gets into that altercation. And once Mama Djinn hits her amulet with the blade or whatever, she is like teleported back through some portal. And this seems to be a little bit more than just a vision. Like before, the bracelet would give her visions, but now it seems like it actually teleported her into maybe back in time, or maybe a different, I don't know. Like I don't really know how to explain it. I think we will find out, but I do think that this is something very very real. I don't think that it's all in her mind. We see here that this is partition. This is back when the train was loading up, when families were being separated. I'm assuming that people were killing each other or something. This is kind of the blood and pain that Nani was talking about earlier. And we'll just have to kind of see where they go with that. But my guess, going into episode 5, that this is clearly where Kamala's gonna meet Aisha. I think she's gonna meet her there, because we don't know what happened to her after the train situation. We know that Kamala's grandmother was a little kid at this time, and that she followed the light to find her father, but we don't know what happened to Aisha. And this might actually answer those questions. And let's not also forget, on the bracelet itself, there was an inscription that Waleed translated, which said, what you seek is seeking you. So I'm wondering if that's really like Aisha, maybe because Kamala's looking for Aisha, then Aisha's actually looking for her. Maybe that's what that means. Or because we don't know when that inscription was made. Did Aisha make that inscription, or was it the blue Djinn or the blue creature from who had the bangle before? Did they put that on there? I don't know. But hopefully episode 5 is going to give us more answers. But that is just something we're going to have to wait and see what happens. But anywho, so when it comes to a rating for this episode, I definitely liked it. I like the action. I like the backstory. Love the cultural stuff as well. This was a solid episode for me. Definitely enjoyed it. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10 in terms of my score for it. But you let me know, where did you rate this episode on a scale from 1 to 10? Let me know in the comments down below. And let me also know, what are you anticipating for episode 5 of Ms. Marvel? Keep in mind, I believe we only got 2 episodes left. Marvel, for whatever reason, is sticking to this 6 episode formula. So we just have to wait and see where it's going to go from there. But anywho, y'all, that's all I got for today. I want to thank y'all so much for taking the time to watch my video. I really do appreciate it. And by the way, don't forget, stay tuned. Of course, we will hopefully, as long as there's nothing crazy going on, we will be meeting up again on Wednesday nights to talk about Ms. Marvel and do that live as well. And of course, as you know, Friday nights, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, 8 Eastern, we have the Friday live chats. Please don't miss out on that as well. If there was anything else that you noticed in this episode, please let me know in the comments down below. I know I didn't go over every single Easter egg or whatever, but I just, was really interested in the episode and what it had to offer. I really wasn't looking to do like a huge deep down breakdown. I just thought it was pretty interesting, and I'm looking forward to what's happening in the future. But please let me know what you guys are thinking, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video. If you're new here and you like what you see, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell so you don't miss out the next time I drop a video. I've got more videos and reviews to do for you all, and until next time, I'll see you all later.